talked about like consciousness and creation lately a lot, and like I said, I come across some sort of like resources to do with like Sarah Landon. She talked about something called self-realization and like these 15 principles, and she said that she's got this energy from a collective of beings called the Council, and they work with her. For me, these sort of like these sort of like these principles are a really good sort of like resource to look at and use, because everything is about sort of coming back into like the now moment, which is one of the principles, which is the power of now. And all that what this means is like it's like oneness. What does oneness mean? It means being in union, it means being in creation, it means being in consciousness, it means being aligned. And this is the whole purpose of each and every soul here, is to be aligned, and aligned to your own source energy, your own source power, which is like your creator and your creation. And each and every one of us, this is the purpose of why we're here, is to live within that, live as this creative being in this creative energy, in this oneness, in this now moment. And when we do this, what it does is it expands our energy field, our energy frequency, and we're aligned then with all the dimensions, all the realms, all the many different sort of like levels of consciousness where other beings are sort of like are sort of like are vibrating or existing, like archangels. When you talk about like guides, angels, beings, and they're all sort of like they're all part of source, and they're all part of consciousness, and each and every one of us aligning into oneness. And this is why I've talked about sort of like lately about going within, because outside is the illusion. Within is where your source energy is where your essence is. It's where your seed of creation is. It's where all reality is born and created, but it's created from you, through you, and as you. And again, this is another principle. It's very much around sort of living consciously, living from source, expressing from source, and knowing that you are the source of all creation, the source of all reality, the source of all expression. That nothing is outside of you. Outside of you is like, as we've gone through this shifting of energy, it's moving through different understanding and awareness. Like many of us like still live our lives in a 3D consciousness, which is where the out there consciousness, where we see things are happening to us, uh, and seeing them sort of like the physical world, like through work, through everyday problems and issues, and we see that as happening to us, and then we become connected to that, and then we live within the 3D frequency. When we start seeing and living from our true expression and from our source energy and our essence, we start to see transformation. We start to connect to that fourth dimensional reality, which is where we know that there's transformation in the eternal moment, which is the power of now. And the power of now is here now. It's within us. We are it. We are creation and consciousness. But we are a creator and we are creation. So it's the understanding that all things are born from us, or everything that we experience in reality is created from us. And we know that it's coming through us, as us, and for us. So anything that we're aligning with or focusing on is what creates reality. And again, this is a principle. So it's understand what you focus on creates your reality, and you are the creator of your own creation. So we understand through these principles that we are creating our own reality. So there is no sort of like looking outside and saying, why is this happening to me? To a degree, because that means that we're in some way we're focusing on something that's creating this within our reality. It could be anything. It could be anxiety. It could be a worry about a car. It could be worry about a job. It could be worry about money. It could be worry about all those kind of things. But what we're doing is we're focusing our energy out there and seeing something happening to us, and not happening for us, through us, and as us. When you start coming into these principles, you realize that all energy is always flowing through. There's an infinite cycle of energy always flowing through you, and there's an infinite cycle of consciousness that's always flowing from source and from this eternal now moment. That there's always a choice. There's always a choice to shift your consciousness and create something. You know, and this is where we start to realize that by living within, um, is the only place that we're really truly free, because we see that there's choice and there's opportunities, there's infinite potential within that eternal moment. when we start looking outside of ourselves, we start then getting caught up in the material world and the physical world and things that are going on, and then we start to lose that kind of that creative aspect or that creative spark of ourselves, because we start connecting to things that we think we have no control over. And this is what the fourth dimension is very much around, is like about personal transformation, it's about spiritual transformation. It's very much around sort of understanding that there's a choice, and that when we live within our source energy, we can then start accessing our own creator and our own creation within us, and we start to then move past things. Yes, there's worries, there's fears, there's lots of things that go on, anxiety that goes on every day, but it's also about then connecting it once again into that creative space or that infinite space within ourselves, and then we start to then see that things can be shifted and transmuted and transformed within, consciousness, within that very eternal moment, that a now moment. We see that, within that now moment, that we can shift and change, and dissolve anything, because that's what we're here for. Um, that's our source energy, that's our source creator, and that's what, we've been given, and this is what we're awakening to. This is our awareness, and this is why a lot of people are talking about creation and consciousness at this time and in this age. The fifth dimension is very much around where it talks about alignment again, and it's talking about like heaven on earth. But to heaven on earth to me is what you're creating. You understand, like heaven on earth is understanding that there's harmony, there's balance, there's peace, there's all that there, and that's a choice. It's there for you. You can create that within your reality, and that's what creates heaven on earth. It's the understanding that we can dissolve things and we can um, transmute things within this moment, and each and every one of us has the ability to do that. And oneness is about that there's no being greater than the next. We're all part of the same one vibration, one frequency. Although there's guides and beings that work with us, and there's other beings, teachers and councils and collectives that work with us, they're all part of the same whole, and they're all the same energy, they're all the same frequency as we are. It's just that we're in this physical reality, but we're not disconnected. That's the true thing about oneness. There's never any separation. You cannot be separate from that which you are. And again, this is another one of the principles. You get more of what you are, not what you want. And what they mean by that is what you create within yourself through vibration and frequency is what you experience. That becomes your reality. So if you want to be more harmonious, you want to be more peaceful, then you need to create that within yourself, within the now moment. And then that will become your reality. And that will become your reality very quickly. Um, one of the practices, like they always talk about, sort of like, I always feel like light energy when I go into my own sort of like source energy. I feel light, warmth, uh, energy, frequency within that. And I always feel like when you start aligning with it, you step into it. And this is where creation happens really quickly, because you step into that frequency, you start to become it, you start to embody it, it's in a state of being. State of being is where you create something, and then you vibrate as it, consciously and aware as it. And that when you do that, then it starts to come into reality. I mean, I used to use a lot of words like manifestation. I don't necessarily use the word manifestation anymore, because it's creation. And manifestation is something, in a sense, when I feel with that vibration, that frequency, you're waiting for something to happen. Well, with creation, you're not waiting for something to happen. Everything is already here. Everything you wish to be is already here. You already are it. And it's here now. And it's about the awareness and the awakening that you just have to step into it. That, even suffering, in the sense of suffering is something that we all go through, but it's something created from us. It's by attaching or connecting to something outside of ourselves and seeing a limitation. Again, suffering comes from limitation, fear comes from limitation, anxiety comes from limitation. As when you're connected to your true essence and your source energy and your source creator, there's only infinite potential. There's only infinite potential in that now moment, and it's always available. It's never separate from you. When you are suffering, it's because you've disconnected from that source energy, or you're resisting something. Again, that's another principle. If you resist one thing, you resist everything. And that's true, because once you resist something, then you close your energy down. And if you close your frequency and your energy down, then you become entangled and caught up in stuff that's happening outside of you, and you lose, or you not you lose, but you sort of become you're not sort of like aware then that of your creator sort of essence, your creator aspect of self, your infinite self, because you start seeing things happening to you instead of seeing that the energy is always flowing through you. This infinite cycle of beginning and end is always happening, but there's no beginning, there's no end. There's just one complete cycle. But it's like it's total sort of like rebirth in every second, and because there's a choice always there, and all we have to do is just align with that. So I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and I do a lot of this practice within my own reality because I sort of like I work like it for like with complex needs people, and there's a lot of ups and downs in that, and I have to constantly sort of like readdress my practice because there's anxiety or there's things that that come up, and there's a lot of things that are are unpredictable. So it's sort of I have to constantly sort of like re evaluate my energy when I see that it's going outside of myself. I have to then bring it back in and try and ground it back in myself and within that moment to see that that there's creations there, that I have a choice still of how I feel about things, how I express things, how I connect to them, how I react to them. And again, this is what a practice that I do every day, and I'm doing it constantly, constantly, constantly. I do it before I go to work. I go try and then, but it's trying to create that eternal moment or that now moment, constant as a constant vibration. And the more you do it within your own inner source, the more it becomes part of your everyday reality. And this is what we want. We want to be able to always be able to access that source, that we know we're never disconnected, that we're always aligned, we're always one with that source energy, so that there is never a moment where we feel disconnected, but also never a moment where we feel uh, we we can't create something, we can't shift or change something, we can't transmute something. And every moment in the eternal now is an infinite moment of pure creation available to each and every one of us. And this is the shifting consciousness that each and every one of us are coming across. And it's just about trying to um, remain in that source energy, that understanding that creation is always available, and you're always connected and you're never separate. And I think this is why these principles are really good. They just allow you as a tool to remind yourself that there's always everything is always available. Like that first principle where it says you're everything you wish to be, you already are, is saying there's nowhere to get to. There's nowhere to there's nowhere to get to. There's nothing to attain. You're already it. So you can go through life knowing that infinite potential, infinite vibration, frequency, and consciousness is always available. You're never disconnected. You're always in that now moment. Uh, and it's and like you are the creator of your own creation. It's saying, look, everything is flowing through you, as you and for you. And again, that's another principle. They all connect. And again, it's like resistance. If you resist one thing, you resist all things. Well, it's saying that if you're resisting something, then you're not making a choice. What you're doing is you're allowing the external world to affect you, impact you, instead of making a choice of what you want to express, what you want to create within your reality. And you're living again in that out there reality, that 3D consciousness, not the fourth and fifth of transformation and creation. So it's that these kind of principles are allowing you to see that that there's always connection. You're never separate, and there's always that infinite potential in that moment. And living life from an infinite potential is living life open, with freedom. You know what I mean? In a sense of the infinite sort of moment, the infinite now moment, knowing that things are always flowing to you, through you, and as you. That there's always a source energy that's always working with you, not against you. And creation is always there, available through choice, through expression, by going within. And that's really, really important. That's the insight for today. Anyway, have a great day. Please comment, like, subscribe, and share.